Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Panther Podcast. I'm Hunter Hinkle. This is Sam Root.
Oh, wait a minute, Hunter. We're forgetting something.
What?
We need chips.
Oh.
Why are you looking at the camera like that? A girls' soccer plays in the district quarterfinal tonight at Hillsboro at 6.
Volleyball players in the district quarterfinal game versus River Valley tonight at 7.
Boys' soccer plays in the district quarterfinal at Unioto at 6 tomorrow night.
Cross country will be competing at districts at Rio Grande this Saturday at 10 a.m.
And varsity football beat Meadowbrook last week 49-6 and will be at Crooksville this Friday night at 7.
Good luck to all the teams this week, and we're going to give it over to my favorite interviewer, Sam Roop. Take it away.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam Roop. I'm here with Doug Clifford, Coach Board, and Tyson Spicer, and we'll be talking about last week's game along with this week's game. So Coach Board, congratulations on the win last week, Coach. What stood out to you most about how your team handled business and stayed undefeated?
Thanks, Sam. We it was played well in all facets of the game. We had a big first quarter for the second week in a row where we had 29 points at the end of the first, and when you can get that, we had a block punt which led to a short field for a touchdown. We had an interception return for a touchdown, so that's a possession that you're taking away, but also getting points off of directly. So anytime we can start a game like that's good. Like I said, same as we talked about last week versus Maysville. When you get up like that against a team, they kind of get out of their game plan. You really can't go to we'd like to establish the run, or we'd like to do this or that, because now you're just playing catch up. And so get another week that we really didn't scheme and plan it to be that way. Meadowbrook's a good team. They've had some athletes. They've still got athletes, big up front. So just kind of a lot of things kind of rolled our way. But it was a good start, a great game by a lot of guys.
So Tyson, in pretty much this entire season, the offense has just been clicking. What's working so well for you and the guys out there?
I'd say it's probably mostly how much we trust each other. It's kind of the really big part of football. You got to trust the offensive line to block, Eli to get the ball to Lane to get the ball to us. Everyone has to trust each other, and we're a really tight-knit group. I think just really are faith in each other to go out and do what we do best.
So at this point in the season, Coach, how do you keep the team focused week to week and not caught up in the undefeated record or playoff picture? I understand that it's the mindset that everyone wants to have, but how do you actually enforce it?
Just 1 week at a time, Say. From week one on, we have goals that we have each week, and kind of the highlights or the snippets. This week, when we beat Crooksville, you're 5-0 in the small school, and you're undisputed small school champs. You're 9-0, which is going to clinch a first round bye, and probably the 1 seed. So those are all things that we've talked about. If we look past this game to what's ahead or start worrying about other things, this team wins. They're 5-3. They've rolled the last couple weeks and have everything to win. Now you're sharing a title potentially. And so that's not what the goal is. And so we're going to take it one game at a time. This one is a 5-0 opportunity for us in the small school division. So you're undefeated there. It gets us to 9-0, and like I said, likely clinching that number 1 seed to where we're going to have the best path once we get to the postseason. So that's just what we've done all year and what we're going to continue to do. Take it 1 week at a time.
Well, Coach, now that you mentioned Crooksville, I got to watch them play last week, and it's by far the best Crooksville team I've seen in several years. And the thing that sets them apart, besides their outstanding quarterback, is their team speed, and which this kid here is part of your team speed. Any special adjustments in your mind right now that you've been talking to your kids about Crooksville speed or their players?
Not really. We kind of have our base scheme that we like, and then there's going to be some minor tweaks and changes that you have based on what they do offensively and defensively. But that speed is something we've prioritized this year, and I think it's really showing on the field on Fridays. But they do look fast on field, and on the film that we've seen, they fly around. They're very aggressive on defense, getting to the ball. Coach Part has done a great job getting them to where they are. For those kids to have 3 different head coaches in 3 years, and for him to get them to this point, I think is kudos to him and to those kids. But no, we're not going to change anything drastically. Like I said, just small tweaks or changes to what they do schematically. But tend to, when you have the speed advantage, you want to try to test them this way. If you don't, you want to test them this way. So we're going to take some shots down the field. We're going to go outside. We're going to stick to what we've done the last 8 weeks.
So with Crooksville coming off of a 46-7 win against Coshocton, who are Crooksville's main weapons on their offense and that we should be aware of?
I was going to start with the quarterback. He's their best player. In middle school, he was one of the best athletes in the league. He's a great runner. He's throwing the ball well. He's been a 3-year starter, and it's all going to really be around him. He's a very good athlete. He runs hard. He runs fast. He's elusive. We didn't do a great job tackling on Friday. I felt like we had a small spurt there where we really didn't tackle very well and finishing the play when their quarterback became a runner. And this week, like I said, much more elusive quarterback, a little bit faster. So we've got to do a better job of finishing the play and getting them on the ground.
So Crooksville has historically been, let's say, very strong when it comes to playing the mental game and trying to get in their opponent's head. How are both of you and the team working on being strong mentally this week?
I'll let you go.
We have one coach that goes by Coach Burgess that'll try and get in your head about every single week, so we kind of just get used to it by our defensive coaches really try and get in our heads throughout our offensive practices.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, it's just a mindset that you got to work through and get prepared for. We encourage our scout team to do a little taunting this week and talk and try to get guys to think about something other than, right? But like I said, I think when you've got things that you have, goals that you want to achieve, that's really what drives everything. Like I said, these are what we want to achieve and what we want to accomplish. So staying focused on that is the most important thing.
Well, what I saw from Crooksville last week, they would be great at a comedy show where you had to ad lib, because the big plays came when Brayson Hill broke contain and took off running, or broke contain and fired the ball down the field 40 or 50 yards to a wide open receiver who kind of got lost in the shuffle. So those are the kind of things when I coach defense that I worry about. You can plan, you can scheme, and you can prepare for everything they do, but then when they start that ad lib stuff, your kids really have to be disciplined in the secondary. So that's where you come in. So what's your mindset playing a quarterback that if he breaks contain, he's going to run just like you do? I mean, he runs exactly like you do. And then if he pulls up, he can throw it 40 yards with a flip. So how's that affect you as a secondary player?
For us, we're probably just going to really have to stay focused on our guy, since he does have the ability to throw downfield once he breaks. So we'll probably have to play pass first, have to trust our linebackers, Tanner and Harry, to be able to play the run. And just kind of find him and stick with him is what we'll probably work scramble drill a bunch on defense with Spurgis this week.
So what group this week needs to improve the most to stop this Crooksville offense?
Well, obviously, it's going to start up front. If we can get pressure with our front three, that's always good. If we can get pressure with three, and I think those guys have done a really good job with getting pressure. If you're able to get pressure with three, you can drop 8, and you can keep guys in zones while also being able to have the ability to lock onto a man. If we're not able to get pressure, that's when you got to go to your 4, 5, and 6 man pressures, and now your coverage has a little bit more hole, a little bit more open space. So we're just going to hope that the defensive line has a really great game, can contain him. If they can keep him inside the pocket where all he has is the option to go this way, you've got Harry and Tanner sitting there in the middle of the field. So the contained quarterback is really, and through our blitz paths, is a focus each week to make sure that we're attacking with good angles to where we're not allowing them to get outside the pocket. But with a runner that's as elusive and dynamic as Hill is, we've got to do a much better job this week keeping him in the pocket, not allowing him to extend the plays outside, where instead of having 3 seconds to throw, he's got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds to throw there. You can't count anymore, Coach. I don't know if you know that. You can't count, right? But between 5 and 8, there's 2 numbers that everybody says back to back. Now it's a big thing. You just can't even count. I can't count to 10 without somebody saying something. Tony Toner. It's always Tony, right? But no, when he can get outside the pocket and allow for a longer developing play, and like I said, now you're talking about now coverage is broken down. Now guys have to decide: am I going to become an attack player? Am I going to stay in my coverage? If you sit too long, he becomes a runner. Now you're attacking a full speed while you're standing. So. Like I said, if we can be great up front, we'll be just fine.
So we've talked a little bit about Crooksville's offense, but what about their defense? Who are their main guys?
Number 50 is a tremendous player on their defensive line, Thompson. He's very aggressive, physical. He was their best defensive lineman last year. He just plays at a different speed. He doesn't have quit in him. But I really think all 11, they do a really great job pursuing to the football. That was the thing that I noticed watching film this weekend, was just how fast they all get to the football. And that's what we talk about and what we preach defensively is 11 hats to the football. And they do that as well. So when you have a team that pursues that strongly and gets there, we've got to make sure that we're finishing blocks. Outside receivers have to do a good job in our screen game with stock blocking, but then being able to take some calculated shots off of that and try to take advantage of that over pursuit.
Well, Tyson, how do you prepare mentally knowing that every opponent from here on out and in prior weeks wants to be the one that hands you that first loss?
I think we all prepare the exact same way every week. When you're at the top, everyone's going to want to drag you down. So we go into every week like we're going and playing a state championship game. We want to go in and practice every day with the best intent that we could. Really just give it all every day.
Well, speaking of mental preparation, Coach, how do you mentally prepare for him on punt returns? I mean, are you ever on the sideline and think, okay, just fair catch, okay, just let it hit, okay, we got 30 points, just let it hit, and it's not in the DNA.
No, and that's I think we talked last week about not coaching the playmaker out of the playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some times where he's going to catch it off a hop where hey, probably ought to just let that one sit, let them down it, and he's going to create a big play. And then there's other times where you're yelling, hey, catch it, and he does. And so, it's tough. Like I said, we talked about 3-point shooters last week. You come up and shoot that 30-footer and say, no, yes, great.
Exactly.
Just like we did it. So, no, I mean, he's a weapon. He's dynamic, and he has a great vision and feel for where pressure's coming from. We only had one punt last week and it was blocked, so we didn't get that opportunity. But he's had 2 touchdowns that have been both called back for penalties, so that's not good. But so we've got to be more disciplined in our blocks and things. But no, there's not really. I don't think it really bothers me. As long as he catches the ball, that's really what we talk about with the return. Is when you don't catch it, now you're given that average of 16 extra yards on the end of it. That's putting you in worse field position. So as long as we're catching it, if we can fair catch it, I'm happy. If we would turn it for a touchdown, I'm even more happy. But as long as we catch it, everything's okay, and I can put my mind at ease.
So Tyson, I saw you play at, I believe, Morgan, and I think you had like 6 catches in the first quarter. And the next week, you were a non-factor in the passing game. And I told Coach Board on the show that, had I been game planning for New Lex the next week, I mean, I'd had 4 guys covering you. So how important are your teammates in that passing activity, your wide receivers?
I think that everyone's equally as important. You try and take away one guy, the next guy's going to be open. There's not one person that you can focus on that's going to shut down our offense.
Oh, that's exactly right. No doubt.
Well, Coach Board, is the team feeling not 100% at this point in the season, because that's kind of impossible, but are there any injury situations that need to be managed this week?
Yeah, nobody's 100% right now. Sam, I mean, you ask every team, everybody's got some bumps, some bruises. There's some guys that we will manage reps for and keep out of full contact stuff just to prevent from, re-injuring or flaring something up. But we really don't do a whole lot of full contact, full go stuff, especially at this part of the year. It's a lot. I mean, everybody at this point knows how to tackle. So we do some form tackling each week from very low distance just to work on the form and the technique. But we're not lining up and going 11 on 11 and just beating on each other. I don't believe that's going to help us to be a better team. It's going to help us to be a less deep team is what it's going to be, because we're going to bang each other up, and when we need to tackle is on Friday. When we need to hit, it's on Friday. So nobody's really banged up. I mean, everybody practiced yesterday. A couple guys, like I said, we managed based on some things that happened on Friday, just banged up. But every team's got that. So I don't look at us as anything other than the norm. So we're going to continue to get guys reps that are below, so that way when they get their opportunity to step in on a Friday night, they're ready to go. And if that first guy's there, then he's ready to go as well.
Well, Tyson, you're an upperclassman and a leader in the receiving corps. How do you take on that role of being a leader and setting the tone for your teammates?
For me, I'm not really much of a vocal guy. I don't like to talk a lot, but I try and just give 100% all the time, do everything as hard as I can, so that way they see that that's the way it should be done.
if I was on the sideline, I'd be making book on every punt return. I mean, it's you put something in the punting game, Tyson. It's just. Well, I know the punting game drove me crazy when I coached, but I think your actions on the field. There's we've talked about leadership. There's leadership that's vocal, and there's leadership that's kinetic. And I mean, you lead with your feet, no doubt about it. And you look like you play with your heart every game. And I think you're one of the best players in this conference. And your parents can send a check directly to me for saying that.
You heard it here first, folks. Coach Ford, with the playoffs getting closer, what's the biggest area of improvement that you're still emphasizing in practice?
Just coming with a purpose each day. It's easy, kind of as we talked about earlier. I think everybody, you go through a small sense of complacency at times, so the message really the last 2 weeks is just coming to practice with intent. We've got to get 1% better each and every day. I felt like to this point, our best week of practice was still the Tri-Valley game because we knew that what the challenge was ahead of us, and we knew that we had to be at our best. And so that's kind of the message that we've really been portraying to the kids is that we're not necessarily preparing for right now. You've already clinched a playoff spot. You win this week, you're a top 4 seed, so you're going to get the winner of that first round. So the practice intent has to be for what week 12, 13, 14, and so on look for. And there are no more bad teams. But we can't wait until that moment that we're playing an Indian Valley last year in the regional semis or a Logan Elm in the second round. The intent has to be right now for where you want to go in a couple of weeks. So we continue to work and sharpen our swords and prepare for the battle that's going to come. The greatest adversary is one that you don't know is coming. We see our league teams each year. We know kind of what every team's going to bring, and each team has different groups of kids. But the focus is what are we doing now that's going to help us in that week 13 game that's going to get us to the regional finals, and then from the regional finals to state semis that step. So continue to sharpen our sword and prepare for what's ahead.
Well, I coached this game 21 times. And
that's a lot.
So the last season, as my last year, we'd beaten a team that Friday night, and I was walking into the coach's office from where I park, and there's this little old lady that walked the fitness trail every day, and she must have been 90 years old, and she said something about the win, and I thought she said that was a better win this week. And I said, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. The kids played really well. She goes, that's not what I said. I said, you better win this week because you play New Lex. And, I mean, that's the mentality in Ceramic Land. I mean, this is their game. So this is the biggest game of their season. So if you beat these guys, when you one of our first conversations, you had a checklist of goals: win the first game, win the small league, beat your cross-county rivals. So you can do some checks this week if you get these guys.
Yeah, 2 big checks for us. Like I said, 5-0 in the small school division, undisputed, undefeated, and not sharing a title with anybody. It's ours. We go 1 for 1, and then we have our second one next week. But we know that this is their biggest game, and they have the pep rally, got their bonfires. That they get amped up for this, similar to how we get amped up for Sharon. I think you're always looking at what's that opponent that we haven't quite gotten to yet, or who's got the upper hand that you want to aspire to be. And so that we know that they're going to play hard. We know it's their biggest game of the year. They really, more than any team in our league, I really believe they play more on energy and passion than anybody. So if they have some belief that they're going to play better than what they are, at a higher level than what they can. So I think just being able to squash that thought that they're in the game early and being able to control and dictate the terms is going to be important. But we're going to get their best game, and they're not going to quit. They're not going to fold because they're not wired that way.
Well, finally, Tyson, 8-0 is a special record. What does it mean to you personally to be a part of a season like this for New Lex?
I think it's really cool to be a part of this team because we'll always be in history as one of the greatest New Lex teams ever, and I think we could end up being the greatest team ever. And I think it's really special to be a part of that with all of the boys.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Look, Coach Clipper, what do you got?
Well, I don't know, guys. I saw the ceramics last week and kind of fired up that old red and black blood that runs through my veins for so long. But, I think it's going to come down to containing the quarterback and not letting him throw that long bomb down the field. And the thing that I see, I know you say you don't plan for them, but your punt returns, your punt blocks, your interceptions, those are just killers. And that double thump on the punt just takes it right out of the team. So I think that is something that doesn't happen on accident. I think you guys, your players, they live for that kind of stuff. So good luck this week. I can't wait to see the game. And go Panthers.
Heck yeah.
To hear.
Well, thank you for watching, and best of luck to you all. Go
Thank you.
Panthers.